You're listening to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Sit in on great conversations with entrepreneurs who risk everything chasing the American dream.
Hey everybody, Small Business Talk with Jerry. We are run by SBR Productions. Today we have Brad Clark with Eagle Eye Viewings plural. Brad.
Hello.
And Greg is here joining us too. Greg Ahrensfeld is going to co-host with us tonight.
Good day.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Staying warm.
Yeah. We should
sure.
mention that was almost 20 degrees today. The last
Almost.
couple days have been below zero, so
Yes.
if you're watching us in July, it won't be weird.
No, exactly. Flyboy Brad, good to see you. I haven't seen you, a week or two?
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, Brad, you are in our Wednesday chapter.
Correct.
Meets at 11:30 at the Eagles.
Yep.
How long have you been a member?
I joined officially, I think, October 1st.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
right.
might have.
right.
I think I may have joined like late September, but they're like,
Okay.
"Oh, we'll just make October
Yep.
1st. You're starting."
Yep. That's how we like to do it. It's
Yeah.
which is almost a pioneer member. We just started August 1st, so I mean you're right in the beginning.
I would have if Greg would have told me earlier.
We blame Greg for a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah, it's
pile
his
it on.
fault.
Yeah, he's
What-
got broad
generally,
shoulders.
whoever's not in the room, that they get blamed.
That's how it works.
That's right.
Would have been Craig then. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
wrong reg.
It happens. Yeah.
So Eagle Eye Viewings.
Right.
What do you do? Let's start with that real quick. What's the premise of the business?
So we're a local drone service provider. We specialize in aerial drone photography, videography, 2D orthomosaic mapping, and 3D mapping and modeling. We also offer specialized drone services such as aerial thermal imaging and multispectral mapping. We supplement our aerial imagery with traditional ground footage as well to give our clientele a comprehensive and affordable media capturing solution. And yes, I did rehearse that multiple
I
times.
was just gonna say, I feel like you're looking in a mirror here. It's like that was fantastic. Should we ask him to do it again? No.
You said
was
to be
great.
You said to be precise earlier, so there we go.
That was it. Well, that really does kind of lay it out of what you do. So
Right.
So I mean, people would hire you for their home properties. People would hire you for commercial properties.
Right.
I mean, so you can pretty much do it all in that sense.
Pretty much everything except for the LiDAR, which I could explain later.
But if you don't do it, we don't care.
Well,
Yet. You don't
Yet.
do it
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
will be yet.
Okay.
I'm not doing it yet, so that's probably
So
a better
that'll be
term.
so we'll put that one on next go around.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So because now I'm gonna have to Google it because I have no idea what it is
Yeah.
either. So,
It stands for light ranging and detection. No, sorry, light detection and ranging. So basically, it shoots out little lasers. Like it'd be like a if you can think of a laser rangefinder on steroids. So
Oh.
it shoots a whole bunch of them. So then it can get a 3D point cloud of an area. So you can do like a digital surface map of a property or a building or what have you.
Okay. And that's in the forefront, or thinking the future. I should
Eventually,
say?
yes. Unfortunately, those sensors are extremely expensive.
Sounds like it.
Right.
Yeah,
like
sounds like
the drones that carry them will be like $20,000 to $40,000, and the sensor itself would be like $60,000, like $40,000 to $60,000.
So it take a couple weeks to pay for. You're saying.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
Well, but I mean that sounds like an expensive job though too. The people that need that, I'm guessing they're
That
ready
would
to
be
pay.
yes. Yep.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
guessing they're not going to pay
That would-
$200 for a service.
That would definitely be. I'd probably have to start at like $5,000
Yeah.
to do a job with LiDAR. It just depends on what equipment I'm using and how
Sure.
big of an area that I'd be mapping. But yeah, that's
So how big an
high-end.
area do you cover? Where will you go?
How big of an area? Oh,
I mean, just mean like where? Yeah.
Right. So I pretty much stay in the corner of southeastern Minnesota. So I'll go as far east as like the Mississippi Valley, a little bit into Wisconsin, like La Crosse or West Salem or something. I'll go as far west as like say Albert Lee or Mankato, or down to the Iowa border and up to the southern edge of the cities.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm guessing most of your business right now is right in Rochester.
no, actually, it's been kind of around Rochester.
Okay.
So I got an upcoming job in Owatonna. It's been kind of that can's been kind of getting kicked down the road a few times. So that's going to be a commercial shoot of a trucking company over in Owatonna. I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but I just did a shoot last week over in Albert Lee. So I was like I said, that's about as far as west as I would go.
Okay.
Let's see here. I've done a fair amount over in the Winona area actually.
Okay.
So I did a triathlon over there. Then 2 weeks later, I was over in West Salem to do a swim
Oh, okay.
over there. Then I had a property shoot over Winona as well. Then another one over in Wabasha. So I've been kind of going around this corner of Minnesota a little bit. I did have a job in Iowa too. That was last summer, but that was just for a family that wanted some aerial photos of their property before they sold it.
So I'm going to ask as hopefully most of you know, SBR Productions is part of SBR Group, which is Small Business Referral Group. I got to get my plug in. But what we do is help refer business to business. I mean, that's what we work for. So the age-old question that we have to ask, being with that setup, is what's a good referral for you? I mean, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, well, I would think realtors would be a good market for you if they're looking to sell a piece of property and want to get viewings on it. Homeowners, farmers that want to see their land, campgrounds, I mean, things like that would be. And then, sporting events. I didn't even think about that till you mentioned the swimming.
Or other events like concerts would be another example.
Okay.
I did film a Stewartville the Stewartville had a concert series over here not too long ago.
Yep.
I filmed one of them. That was for the city, along with some footage of Florence Park.
I guess the gist of my question is, help us help you. What's a good referral for you? That's what should we be looking for and thinking of Eagle Eye Viewings with an S?
Oh, I could tell you a story on that. I'll tell you that one later.
All right.
So right now I'm concentrating on virtual tours for small businesses, and in particular because I only
indoor.
Yeah, indoor virtual tours. So it'd be like a
with a drone.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I could, but I have a 360 camera.
Okay.
So I do have ground cameras besides drones. Even though drones is what I lean on heavily on to kind of differentiate myself from other photographers and videographers. Because none of them, right, and none of them are going to do like the mapping services that I do or the thermal inspections that I do or any of that stuff. But they'll have a drone to supplement their video or photography where they're a photographer or videographer first and drone pilot second.
Sure.
I'm a drone pilot first, photographer, videographer second. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But you'd probably get a lot of really good supplemental footage, not off the drone, right?
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and the work you did for us with
What a
Harder's
compliment.
Disposal, I mean,
Yeah.
I know
I
that
forgot
was
about
early
that.
on. I don't know how long you were in business when you did that. That was...
That'd been a year ago, right?
But
Yeah.
that was a great clip.
Right.
I mean, we watched that, and
Right.
I know I thought you did it, and I was like, that was impressive. And you're like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, no,
So-
that was me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a 2-person job because the owners Mathis contacted Matthias.
Matthias, yep.
Contacted, was it Rocco or Rocky or something?
Yeah, Rocky was there. He had a tripod, camera on a tripod, so he
Right.
could, do some video of the truck coming down the street.
Right. He did the ground footage, and then I did the aerial footage.
Right.
And
the going around the truck just so you could see the entire thing, because our trucks are unique in the residential with the split body. It really gave you that view that normally you wouldn't think that you needed, and it does a great job to showcase it. So
especially when you see the inside the hopper where that blade moves back and forth.
Right.
I mean, that was just great.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have tried to verbalize that with me and tell me we're going to make a garbage truck look cool,
right.
I'm not buying it. But it really did.
Yeah.
And of course, I gave Greg all the credit at first, and he would right away. He was like, no.
Yeah,
this
no,
is
yeah.
and this
It was
before
my
I knew
idea.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And you were proud of that, but it looked great. It's
Yep.
but I mean, the way you executed it, I thought, again, if you told me you were going to film and make a garbage truck look cool, it's like, if it's not doing a wheel stand, I don't know how you're doing it. But
And here's another little tidbit out of that. It took us 20 minutes to film.
Yep.
really,
20 minutes.
well,
Like
it sure
he
looked
just
good. It was
drove. He just
impressive.
did it. Yeah, the guy just did his route, and we just followed along. And I took some vertical footage as well, which did turn out okay. But the horizontal really captured it better in that particular scenario.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna just because we're talking filming a vehicle driving, I gotta
Yep.
ask, how fast can your drone fly?
Which one?
The fastest one. The fastest one. My question would be like, if you were to go to the drag strip with us when we take the cars out, how
I wouldn't be able to keep you up with those cars. My Mavic 3T is probably my fastest current drone that I own, and that could probably get up to about 40, 45 miles an hour.
But you could start filming at half track while you're moving down track,
Yes.
and then pick up speed as the car goes under, kind of
Right.
thing. You could get some pretty cool footage on
Right.
that. I would bet
sure.
then. Yeah.
That wouldn't be my go-to drone for that, because that's a thermal drone and a mapping drone.
Oh, okay.
So my Mini 3 Pro would be a better choice from a camera perspective, but it can't quite go as fast. So it's more like 30 to 35 miles an hour. So
Okay.
it's about 10 mile an hour slower, and it's slower. But the nice thing about that one, it's smaller. It's much more quiet. So it's ideal for like real estate shoots or doing events or whatnot. So that's why that's become my
If you were gonna
workhorse.
run in a situation like that, if you were going to run 2 drones, you'd need 2 pilots
Right.
at that point, right? You
Right.
can't do 2 yourself.
Not without a waiver.
Not without a waiver.
Not without a waiver. Like, so there's like here's the thing with the FAA is like they have a baseline of rules and regulations.
Oh,
you
you're
need to follow.
serious? This is like a legal issue.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
A waiver. I'm picturing.
Well, and
like
I
my-
remember when he set it up because he had to get clearance because we were too close to an airport.
Yeah.
So he had to get all kinds of. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Oh, that's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
We said waiver. I'm thinking like my 8-year-old niece.
no,
You know, give me a little-
FAA waiver.
Okay.
So pretty much all of Stewartville is in the controlled airspace of Russia International
Rush
Airport.
Airport. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I had to go log into my app and get LANS authorization because I think the ceiling was 200 feet, but we didn't go that high.
No,
I think it was like
didn't even-
100, 150 is the
yeah.
highest we went. We didn't. Yeah. Most of the
So
time
you-
it was like 20 or 30 feet above the truck.
So you
Even though it
wouldn't-
looks like I'm like on top of it, but really I'm a little bit further back.
Right.
So if you stay under the 200 feet, you wouldn't need the waiver?
No, you still do. You
still do,
You're in
okay.
controlled airspace. So I'll explain this pretty quickly. So its LANS authorization stands for Low Altitude Authorization Network. I forget what the C stands for. I think it's communication or something.
Okay.
But anyways, what it is there's preset ceilings that start at 400 feet at the edges of the controlled airspace, and as you get closer to the airport, it lowers.
Okay.
So they'll start 400, then 300, then 200, then 100, and then when you're right next to the airport, it'll be zero grid. But then you can apply for what's called a further coordination authorization.
Okay.
Which then is a manual review of your flight plan and what your safety plan is, and then they'll approve it manually. But if you fall in the preset parameters, it's just a manner of filing that you're flying in that airspace at this time in this particular area, so they have it recorded. So if anything weird happens or something comes in too low and you're trying to dodge a plane, like say that air scooper
Right.
over in LA for that fires that got hit by a drone, they would have a record of who was flying in that area.
Sure.
Right.
So it's not difficult to get.
No.
But it's just procedural.
So you
Right.
need,
gotta
you need a
have.
flight plan just like a pilot does, basically.
Yeah.
More or less. I mean, it's
More or
maybe
less.
more loose, but they know where you're going to be, like a
Right.
flight plan. I mean,
Right.
so it's like that.
So
How do you know-
it'll be like a Google map, and you draw a box or a polygon of where you're going to be flying in, and then you have a preset ceiling you can get up to. But you'll notify, like, I think for mine, I think I set it at 150 because I knew we were going to need to go to 200.
Right.
So like I knew I didn't need to fly that high.
Sure.
So
Planes weren't the main obstacle. Trees,
Yeah,
really.
trees.
Trees.
Oh,
trees
I bet,
and light
yeah.
poles and light poles.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
Trees
yeah.
and light poles.
Trees and light
For
poles.
sure.
Have you hit a power line yet?
No.
Oh, good.
And there weren't any power lines on the street we did, which was
No.
really nice. But there were plenty of trees.
Yes. I've had to hit a tree.
Yeah, I bet.
A number of times.
I bet.
So-
So back to the question we started at. What's if the people that are watching and
yes.
listening, they keep you in mind, what's a good referral for you? What's your favorite referral? And let's work it down from what you'd rather do versus what you will do. That's a good business
That's fair.
question.
Well, there's a lot of things I like doing. That's the problem. So I think right now, if an ideal referral to me would probably a really broad one would be like social media content for any business.
Okay.
I just did my taxes early today with my wife, so my revenue from this past year was 63.5% of it had to do with either content for online or especially social media. So it was a big part of my business this past year, and I like to see continue that to grow. So whether it be using my drone or not, I have other cameras that I could use for capturing that social media content. And the average like job for that range for me would be like between $200 to $500. So it's pretty affordable.
Pretty affordable.
Exactly. Especially if because and I'll do it pretty quick. I mean, Greg can be a test to that. So I could come in for like a half an hour.
20 minutes. I mean, well, for you had to take you had an owner there. You had you there. You had a driver.
Yep.
You had a truck. So I mean, the time, if it takes you 6 hours to do that, that's versus like you said, 20 minutes. We can all make 20 minutes. I mean,
right.
And you're doing a shoot like that. I would assume I would have to set aside half a day.
Well, our driver thought 20 minutes was an eternity because normally he would have been done on that street in no time.
5 or 10.
But yeah, exactly.
Right.
But
from the grand scheme of things, as an
Right.
owner looking to market, that's really reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, price and time.
Well, and it's to the speed in which I took it also attests to the style of video that I was producing. It was going to be for social media.
Right.
So it's not like MediaCore, who's going to shoot you a movie of a video. I mean,
Right.
they do a fantastic job.
Oh, Josh and his guys are awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll have like 3, 4, 5 people there, multiple cameras, multiple mics, and they will shoot you the branding video of your dreams.
Yep.
That is not what I will do.
Right. Right.
I'm going to shoot you something that's going to be cost effective, short and sweet, and fast turnaround, which is ideal for social media.
But
that's
now-
what I concentrate on as far as
Right.
like my creative works go.
But now, in Brad's defense, I'm going to say, with Josh, you're not going to get him to answer the phone for less than that $200 to $500. I mean, that's and again, they do fantastic work. These guys, some of the best I've seen. I'm so impressed, but it has a cost.
Yes.
So
We're talking like
I couldn't-
$5,000 on the low end
on
to
the
like
low end.
$15,000.
Yeah, on the low end, and I wouldn't spend that to make a social media
No.
quick video.
Exactly.
Now it has its place. Again,
Right.
I know Denise Fry with 4Youth. She just worked with them, and she had nothing but fantastic things to say about Josh and Jacob and the crew.
Right.
But now you watch the video that they made for. Have you guys seen this yet?
I haven't.
Not for her, no.
I don't know if she's released it yet. She sent it to me. I kind of referred Josh to her, working with for what she wanted, and it's amazing. I mean, it's for a startup business for youth. That is, this Josh really makes it look like she's been doing this for decades. It's so impressive what they can do. So and just like I said, with your quick videos, I was impressed.
And I was going to say, and turn that around because what he does isn't like shoddy at
Oh,
all.
gosh,
it looks
no.
great. It
No, that's
really
right.
does.
Well, and okay, so I'm going to pick on Greg a little bit. When I saw the garbage truck video, the Harders video, I was just like, I can't believe you did something that cool. I guess I'm picking on it, but it's like, that was so awesome.
Well, it's been fun.
But my point is, I was so impressed because I called him right away. Usually we text everything or message it, and I called him and I was like, "That's pretty cool. That's amazing. How
Yep.
how did you do that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's what he said. I didn't do it. It was
Right.
my idea." But he said,
Yeah.
Brad did that, and I was like, "I don't know this Brad. We need to figure this guy
Right.
out because
Well, and the other thing Brad did was he chopped it up. He produced it, so he seamlessly put everything together. I went over to his house and we did the voiceover for that video just in my car.
wow,
5 minutes we did his voiceover.
It didn't even take that because I did it in one take.
No.
I
Right.
knew what I was
Yeah.
going to
Right.
say and I just did it in one take.
One
It didn't even
one
take
and a
5
half
minutes.
takes.
Yeah.
But now,
No.
we're going to
it was-
admit something to Brad here, and since we're on camera, maybe he won't make fun of me. But
Oh.
when it comes to production after the fact, this podcast is a testament to what you do after the filming is done. Because I tell everybody when we're doing these podcasts before I start, it's like, you can say what you want on this podcast. I'm not going to limit you, but you own what you say because I'm not going to edit it. When we start and we end, and we're going to put an intro on the beginning of it, and it goes online because I don't have the patience, the knowledge, or the intelligence to edit these and produce these podcasts more than just film and be done and move. So
Sounds
it's
like
amazing.
you need to talk to me a bit later, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah, because at some point we're going to want these to be a little better than they are. But we keep it raw. I mean, it's real.
There's something about real life.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
real.
just fine.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is like the style that I film at. It's going to be a little more raw, a little more in real life. Where again, and we're just going to use them as a good example when it comes to Josh and
Yeah.
Jacob. They're going to have a very polished professional look to it.
Yep.
And that has to do with the fact of how they capture their video, because they'll use what's called a log profile, which captures a 10-bit color. So it'll be a larger range of colors than what I capture. It's going to have a greater dynamic range, and they'll be able to color it how they see fit. And a lot of the work into that is in the editing when it comes to capturing that log profile of that video. So
just like a wedding photographer can touch up and make things exactly like they want it. Yep.
Right.
I know. I always used to think that I didn't have the right cameras, or that I didn't know how to take the picture. It turned out it was just my face. Who knew? It took me 20 years to figure that out.
Turn the camera around, Jerry.
Here's another thing too. Some people get kind of obsessed of like equipment. Like, I need to have the best equipment. I need to be able to shoot like 8K. I need to have like this 200 megapixel. No, it's not. It's the message, your vision, and then how you're able to edit and make it interesting and appealing for people to consume and watch and experience what you have to show them.
Yeah. If you had to have the best equipment all the time, magicians would be out of business. I mean, they play on what we want to see.
Yep.
And I mean, I looked at the things, that's how commercials are made. I mean, if they play on what you want to see. And I would like to talk to you. This isn't the time or place, but later on, because what I would like some help with is as we watch these podcasts and we find the little clips that we can do, the 5, 12, 30-second reels or shorts. I would like some help on doing that, and because then
that's a great idea.
Yeah, because I'd really like to put that out on social media more. Mm-hmm. And then because then I'll task all my guys with, as you're listening to the podcast, make a quick note. Hey, on Brad's podcast at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That should be a short, or that should be a reel,
right?
And that I could use some help with if we'll get together later on that. But this podcast is about you, so we'll keep moving on that. But give us what I'd like to know what's the most fun you've had on a job where you did something that just you had a blast doing it.
Oh, the garbage truck, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it had to be the garbage truck. Right. Kind of set you up for that one.
Yep.
Boom.
Right there. So,
but what's one that just you really enjoyed?
I really liked. I was doing the Florence Park for the city of Sturgeville, and I'll have to show you this later. But a group of bikers came right in, like bicycles, and were just riding along on the trail. So I just decided I'll just follow them.
Oh, sure, you have a drone. Yeah, sure.
You
could.
And it was just great
something
looking.
like that would look amazing, like on the city website or something,
right.
To advertise the area. That would be amazing.
They went over the bridge by the fountain. You could kind of see the fountain off to the side a little bit. It was a little bit out of frame, but it was like I couldn't have planned that any better. Right. And then I did.
That just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
That's cool.
Happenstance.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a job for Creative Curb Appeal for Danny Smith.
Oh, yep.
There's a house from Lake Zumbro. So I was flying far away and coming up to the house, and then this hawk came into frame. And I had to fight the urge so much not to follow the hawk.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep.
But later on, I did, after I was done doing what I needed to do for him, then I put it back up and I looked for the hawk, and I was able to get a little bit of footage of that hawk. But then he flew too fast, so I kind of lost sight of him. But I got a little bit of cool footage of him kind of going around and whatnot. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Most of the stuff I'm really proud of is stuff that just happened by accident.
Yeah. I wonder if campgrounds are big business, and I wonder if they wouldn't be good customers, because they could show off all of the amenities. They could show off the bike trail. I'm thinking of where you camp.
Yeah, the old barn. They bought a drone.
So I've been in talks with Camp Victory for doing that type of stuff.
Oh, with the kids camp and everything. That would be great.
Dave Nelson just joined our Thursday chapter, so
sweet.
They're part of the family now. So
I know Sam Smith pretty well from a former referral group that I shall not mention.
Oh no, we're all in this together. Oh, okay. So you're okay. We're all in this together. Yep.
That's how I met Jerry. Is in a different referral group.
Yeah, I spent 20 years in that group.
And that
was
actually
great for me.
To go off of the drone topic, but that's exactly the power of the referral groups. Is because it's not just in the room. You take that with you because you build a relationship, and then you enhance it as you go. I'm going to say this on my side of Greg and my relationship. I'm going to say this on my side.
whether we did business together or not going forward, I feel like Greg's a friend of mine. And I mean, Greg and we would talk, we would bounce ideas off each other, even if we weren't in business together.
Right.
We're friends now. And we
absolutely.
met in that group. I mean, that was, it's I have real friendships that have come from that aren't because he can do something for me, my business,
Right.
that kind of thing. It's not like that anymore.
I would say Pat Eckert's that for me.
Sure. Yep. Pat's
Yep.
another guy.
Yep.
There again, Pat and I are not. He didn't come with us yet. He says he's going to.
Yes,
Yep.
I'm
But-
trying to talk
Yep.
him into it.
Yep. He says he's
Trying to
going
talk him into
to.
it.
But he's got.
Pat,
He's got.
do you hear this?
Yeah. Come on, Pat.
Pat, come on.
Come on. You got.
Join the dark side,
you got more,
Pat.
you got more excuses than Carter's got liver pills. So let's. But Pat's a guy. He just called me here. A couple weeks ago. He had a question for me that wasn't about cars. It wasn't about his construction business. It was just two guys that have known each other now for, I've known Pat for 15 years. We were in that group together,
Yep.
And so, you make real friendships out of it. And that's why I can pick on him, because it's like if I didn't know him that well or if we weren't friends, you gotta toe a different line.
Right.
But I can pick on him a bit. So
it's not just a business acquaintance. It becomes a real personal relationship.
Right. It becomes a
It
real
really
friendship.
does.
Yep, absolutely.
I probably do more stuff for like technical stuff for him when he has a question with his cameras or something that I do drone work for him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Brad, I gotta buy you out for lunch. I got a question for you. And
Have you done any drone footage in his new fourplex that
yeah.
really, that's a really cool building.
That's a cool building.
I haven't done anything lately, but I did do. I've been doing progression footage of that site since he had the foundation poured.
I can't wait to see that because it's not that far from my house. I drive by it fairly often,
Yeah.
and I've been able to see it go up just like that.
Yeah.
I would love to see it in a time lapse.
Yeah.
I don't have good footage to do time lapse with it.
Why? I mean, just
Yeah.
to be able to see
Yeah.
the thing built in
If
5
I
minutes.
knew ahead of time what the long term goal was going to be, I probably would have framed some of my shots a little differently, so I would be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I did do some orbits, so I could probably crossfade in from some different orbits into that later. We'll see what I got. But I've done. He's my number one client, really. He's
Wow.
Yeah, he's hired me for like probably about a half dozen different projects now. One stemming from using my thermal drone just to look at a heated floor. So yeah,
What a
great idea that is.
So now since I wasn't flying my thermal drone, I didn't charge him what I would normally charge for flying my thermal drone. I just charged him my normal capture
He
rate.
probably wouldn't pay you anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't think he would.
he did pay. It just took a little while. But anyways, so
Good thing he's a good sport.
this goes back to another Mark Nelson, who you know. Yeah.
Yep.
So I did some social media content for him, and then I did. This was like when I first got my thermal drone, so I like asked him like, "Hey, do you ever use like thermal cameras and stuff?" He's like, "Oh yeah." So when I did the second shoot for him, I brought it with, and we kind of toyed with it, and then I was brought into the garage, and I had a bracket that will attach the drone to the bottom of my controller, kind of like those GoPro mounts or extra camera mounts, And then as soon as I turned it on, whatever, I'm like, Mark, you got a heated floor, don't you? Because I could see the coils clear as day. He's like, I sure did. And I showed
So
him.
that allows you to use the drone as a camera, not a
Right.
drone. I mean, you're not flying it at
Exactly.
that point. It's mounted.
Instead of holding the drone in one hand and the controller in the other,
Sure.
I can just keep both hands on the controller.
Yeah,
And then the
instead,
drum's
yeah.
attached to the controller. And then I have my lanyard that holds the controller because,
Right. If
I
you
do- I-
drop it.
yeah.
It's dropsies.
oh, it's like $7,000. I don't want to
Yeah,
go.
right.
But anyways, so during that, Mark told Pat about that thing. And then Pat's like, hey, Brad, can you come look at another heated floor? What he didn't tell me was it was a finished floor in a basement with carpeting and whatnot and subflooring.
Oh, a little more to go through.
Right.
Right.
So we get down there because they're like, oh, it's in the basement. Like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, it's some unfinished room, right? Or something. No. So we're in this like family area. And it's like, yeah, I didn't even know where the coils are in this floor here. I'm like, really? Like through this carpet and stuff? Oh, geez, I don't know, Pat, if it's going to work or not. So when I first started, I could see where, because I had my shoes off, so you could see my footprints in the carpet where I was walking, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So then I'm like, making some adjustments, and there's different color palettes to go through. And sure enough, as soon as I had the settings right and the right color palette, came up clear as day. All I needed was
Even through the finished floor.
Even through the finished floor. Yeah, I was
cool.
amazed. Through the carpet, the pad, any vapor barrier they probably have as well. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to go through.
So you could go over my house or a commercial building in the winter and tell us where we need insulation.
Right,
or
for heat
that
loss.
For heat loss. For
Yep.
that kind of scenario.
Yep.
That's
Or also in the in the like summer or spring.
Oh, sure.
If there's trapped moisture, which could be a potential leak, could do
Right.
that as well.
okay. That would be handy too.
Yes.
So that's a great referral. I mean, really. And
Right.
Yeah.
I've talked to Above All Roofing. I've talked to All Craft Exteriors, especially All Craft Exteriors, because Alex was in my former chapter.
Okay.
Corey Keene, who's in another chapter.
And James Stein, he's in yours now too, isn't he? With AOS. Is
Yes.
that
Yep.
Wednesday? Okay.
Yep.
So you've
Yep.
got
They
that.
do more general contracting. They don't do too much roofing.
Right,
But
right.
we did have a short discussion on that. But yeah.
But it's a
So-
referral, is my thought, because they're in that business.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, even if they're not doing it, they're going to sub somebody to do it, and which could be a good referral.
Right.
Yeah. Greg and I talk about this quite a bit. We had lunch today, as a matter of fact, and we talk about how once you get in that mode of referrals, you don't shut it off.
Right.
It just doesn't shut off. I'm always just thinking about who do I know that that could benefit from what you're doing, or you could benefit from what they have. Because obviously, if it's a good referral, it's good for both of you. It's not
Right.
just
Yep.
in your favor, my favor. It's like, well, this would be a great service for me and Brad. It's a referral for him. It's
And
win-win.
you also get a little bit of credibility as the person passing referral as well.
Yep.
Like, oh, Jerry knows all these guys, man. If I have any questions, I'm going to come to him because he seems to know everybody.
So we talk about being in this other.
That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, Greg's been in my shop before, and we'll sit and we're chatting, and then of course the phone rings, and 20 years plus in the last group, and now we're in our first year of SBR, my phone will ring at Broadway Car Care, and they'll ask me for a plumber. It's my clients. They're like, I know you're in this group. We've talked about this.
Right.
Is there a roofer in that group? Is there a who do you It started with okay, I know you guys don't do body work, but you must know a body guy because you're a car guy.
Right.
And that was 20 years ago. Now you fast forward today, it's like people call me for a plumber. Who do you hire for carpet? Who do you know that does carpet? It's like, in cars? No, my living room. Oh,
Right.
well, and then as I start joking with them how ridiculous it is that they just called their mechanic
Right.
shop to ask for a carpet guy, and it's like, yeah, I got a couple. Hang on.
or a dry cleaner.
Yeah,
That was the last
yeah,
one you
that's
told me
right.
that I just kind of shook my head. I'm like,
Yep,
you
Molly.
asked the guy with grease on his shirt about a dry cleaner. I think that's pretty
But
good.
Molly's in your group. Her husband, Mike, he called me at the
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
And we chatted for a little bit, just kind of catching up because I hadn't talked to him for a few months or better. And then I'm like, well, hey, anyway, what can I do for you? Well, I was wondering, in your new venture with SBR, have you got a dry cleaner in there that you can refer to me? It's like, so there again, that's, it's...
Speaking of Mike, he is trying to build a referral for me through the people that live around Zumber Lake.
Oh, okay.
It's not an HOA, but like some sort of like association or something.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yep.
So they had a
that
meeting.
kind of lakefront property.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so he brought up to their meeting like, hey, we got this drone guy that come and could take like gorgeous pictures.
Yeah, that'd be a great,
Right.
beautiful
yes.
properties over there.
And funny thing is, I've already flown that lake, and I do have some pretty pictures I can use as examples for them too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of them's on my laptop right now.
So go and look for realtor signs in that neighborhood and call up the realtor and ask them if they would like some footage. I mean,
I can guarantee they probably already do.
yeah, they already
Because
have
it's So we'll get to this because you were talking about real estate earlier,
Yeah.
and this is I've been tending to do a far more commercial properties as opposed to residential. Same thing. I've also been doing a growing number of agricultural listings as well, and it seems to me that most of the residential real estate agents, they're not really interested in anything beyond your typical photos for a property.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's like a higher end multi-million dollar home or if it's on a lake or something. And they have a guy. Most of the people that do photography do have a drone they use to supplement what they do. So I found that out kind of the hard way, because when I first started my business, that was going to be my thing, where like, I'm going to get into real estate photography. I see no aerials of all of these middle ground properties. I could, price myself friendly enough to be like, hey, I have a single rate, whether I take aerials or not. It's just a matter of how much time it takes me. And I thought that'd be great. But then after I tried it, I kind of found out why they don't, because
every one of these realtors has a 12-year-old nephew with a drone.
Well, no, they don't even take the drone pictures of those
I
houses.
suppose you said they're just taking. Right. Just have a photographer come through that they do, and
here's the other thing too. Like before COVID, like the market was hot. Like you didn't even need a whole lot of pictures to sell a house.
That's
right?
true.
And then when I started, because I'm like, oh, good, there's a lot of movement in the market. Well, then the interest rates went all the way up.
Yeah.
And then the housing market came to a crawl.
So, quick interruption. Just, we're talking about kind of a timeline here. How old is Eagle Eye Viewings?
So I formed my LLC in October 22.
Okay. So not that old a company yet.
No, just over 2 years.
Sure.
So I didn't really launch until...
You did some really good work for only being around a couple of years. That's impressive. By looking at the things I've watched of yours, I would have thought you've been doing it longer. Honestly, that's pretty impressive.
Well, so the story of how I got into it is kind of interesting, because even though I've only been doing it now professionally for like the past couple of years, when I was going to college at RCTC, I was majored in digital arts, and I did take some audio production and video production courses. So a lot of that stuck with me. So even though I ended up working in the restaurant industry for over 35 years as a server and a bartender, and I made a very good living at that until COVID happened.
Sure. That was hard on so many businesses.
Yes, and I think the hospitality industry still, I think it's on the come around now. It's been taking a while, and it's not so much like the peak hours. I mean, those recovered pretty quickly. It's the non-peak hours that the wheels fell off on.
Well, and this is getting way off topic, but just to make a quick comment about that, being that you know what you're talking about with this, my impression was restaurants forced to take so many shortcuts during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When that forced shortcut was, that restriction was taken away by the state, by the feds, whatever, a lot of these restaurants stuck with some of it. And that seemed really annoying to me as a customer. How many fast food restaurants? I think of Arby's, for instance, by the mall. I love roast beef sandwiches. And I had to go through the drive-thru for a year and a half after COVID was not being restrictive on the restaurants anymore.
Right, yeah.
Because it was drive-thru only.
Yep.
They had so many fast food restaurants, it's like, okay, that's lazy. And I'm sure there's more to it than that. Obviously, you have employee issues. You have all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But the point is, we've had employee issues in the past. We've had all kinds of issues. I'm 53 years old, seen all kinds of trends come and go. I've never seen fast food restaurants say, you can't come in anymore. Just drive through.
Yeah.
Never.
Yep.
I would have to agree with that. Now we were coming into COVID, even before COVID, we were already heading into a labor shortage anyways.
Correct.
Because a lot of the baby boomers are approaching their retirement age at that time. So that was already, especially in the trades. Especially
in the trades.
And
I don't know that the trades are recovering real fast on that either. I mean,
I see hope, because I see a lot of high school students that when I did the STEM summit over at RCTC that the Chamber of Commerce organized and was backed by Mayo Clinic and other businesses. I did that for 2 years. 2 times I've done that now. I see a lot of the high school students are gravitating to those trades there, because you don't have to go to college for 4 years to start making money.
Well, isn't it? Right. Again, I'm not going to get on my soapbox. And there's openings.
I'm older than you, Jerry, and I remember when you had to fight to get a blue-collar job like that in the trades. There weren't any. There was nothing.
My dad was a mail carrier for the United States Post Office. Okay, and so when I thought, well, okay, my dad did it. We had a decent life growing up, so I went out. I took the test, and you score out of 100 points. It was in Rochester. They were open tests. I was 18 years old. I took the test. I get a 99. They had 8 job openings. There was 140 of us that took the test. Now, at a 99, 8 jobs, 140 people, you're probably not going to get in, is my thought. till I find out that if you're a veteran, you have any military experience, if you have any kind of disability, you can actually score upwards of, like, I think it's 105 or 106 points.
Yeah, you get bonus points.
Right. So not only is 99 not going to cut it out of 140, it's not going to cut it out of 140 people where they can potentially get 105 points.
Yep.
And I'm walking in going, if I'm perfect, I get 100.
Right.
100 wasn't going to get the job.
Yep.
And then I ended up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. They had 2 job openings. Took the test there, I get 100. There was 30 people for 2 jobs. I get 100. I don't make the cut. Not even close. Not even 100 wasn't getting hired. And so, yeah, that's where we grew up. Was like, that's just a blue collar job. That is not anything flashy. You're going to be a mail carrier, you know, and people are like clawing and scratching to get there. But I do think it's great that I think more and more people are realizing that, you know, if you have the education, you can go to college, VOTEC type scenario, and get a blue collar job, learn to be a plumber. You don't have to go to college for 4 years and learn all your liberal arts and your other things. You're going to go to school for 1.5 years or 2 years. You're going to learn how to be a plumber. Right. Then you get out, you borrow a little money, take a little out of savings, dad helps you, whatever. You buy a van, you get some things and tools, and you literally can go out and you can see a 6-figure income in your first year or 2.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, you're not competing with all these other 4-year diplomas, or 4-year, you know, degrees. I told my kids when it came to college, I said, if you're going to be an electrical engineer and you need a 4-year degree to be an electrical engineer, I get it. If you're going to go on Indeed, right, or whatever, and find a job and they require a 4-year degree, they don't care which one.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't have to apply.
Yeah. It's like you guys and all of you out there with your degrees, myself included, I will argue with you all day if you like, and it'll be entertaining. But that is about conditioning. That's not about education.
Right. I know so many people with a degree they never used. If they used it, they didn't like it, and then they did something completely different.
That's me.
That didn't require a degree.
Or it could be me, where I didn't use it for 30 years, and then finally I'm starting to use it now.
Yeah. But you know okay. So using you as that example,
right?
What's the rate of return on that degree when you wait 35 years to buy in?
Right.
You know, I mean, and not picking on you by any stretch.
No.
You know, I you know, my degree is in accounting, and I can't tell you I don't use my degree. Because as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I use that degree to death.
Yep.
But my intention when I got that degree, when I was in college, when I was working towards getting that degree, was not to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to be an accountant. I was good with numbers. That's why I did it. I was like, I'm good with numbers. This will be easy. I was lazy. Let's call it what it is. And it's like, you know, I get numbers. It's not hard work. For me, I don't struggle with it. I don't have to study. I'm just going to go do it. And I whizzed through high school. I whizzed through college. I get my degree, and I got my first job at Keen Consulting. Good company, by the way, not throwing them under the bus, but I get my little cubicle, and it's a stack of, it's literally like watching a movie. Some hunya comes by with his cart, drops a stack of folders here. You work your ass off all day to get through them. When they get on this side, he comes by, takes that stack, comes by 5 minutes later, drops another stack, and it's like, I hate my life.
Right.
I waited.
That didn't take long.
It didn't take long. I didn't even make it a year, and I was like,
just imagine now. Now it's like emails, where it's like file lumps through the computer instead of like these physical files.
Oh no, I'm old enough. They were stacks of paper that made noise.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things you said before about a guy that wanted to be a plumber, he could go and get a van, start his own thing. The problem is what you didn't mention is that takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness. You've got to have the gumption. Well, and you've just got to be determined. I'm going to succeed at this, because if you don't, now all of that you just lost so much money. And I don't think a lot of people who haven't been entrepreneurs understand how much that, and like you, Brad, with your business, you don't just jump into a 6-figure income with a drone. It's not how it works. Exactly.
No.
There's a lot. You've got to stick with it right through anything that isn't pleasant, and that's different than being an employee. And there's plenty of unhappy employees, but but you're not putting your life on the line for it.
But as an unhappy employee, you still know that every Friday my paycheck's going to come. It's going to be this much money.
Right.
And if you can't afford your bills on that, that's on you, because you spent more than you make. But as an entrepreneur, you don't know that. I mean, Friday's coming, but you don't know if there's a check involved.
Right.
So
exactly.
and you don't know how much it is.
So my instance was a little different because I worked in the restaurant industry as a server and a bartender. So my weekly paychecks or biweekly paychecks weren't a whole lot.
Oh, sure.
I worked on gratuities. Yep. Yes. So I'm already conditioned for that flexible income.
Yeah.
That especially when it comes to the seasons, essentially,
Yeah,
like
sure.
it'll get busy, coming up to the holiday season, and then come January, February, there's always a big slump.
Well, I can't imagine that. I mean, this last week we were below zero for a few days.
Yes.
That's going to be hard on you.
Yeah, I can't fly it. My drones are rated to fly to 15 degrees Fahrenheit.
So there is a temperature barrier.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll push it, and I'll probably go like 10 degrees.
Okay.
But
So this
below
was
that,
last week. You couldn't work this last week. Not
No,
for
I had
drones anyway.
Yeah. If I did, if
Unless
it was
you're
an indoor
indoors.
fly through, I could do
Sure.
that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Indoor fly through or my ground cameras or something
Yeah.
like that. But even if anything outdoors when it's that cold, even if it's just ground cameras, they get there's anything electronics that are in that cold of weather, those batteries are just gonna get sucked dry quickly, and then it's gonna be wear and tear on those batteries too. It's gonna
And
be
they're not cheap.
No, they're not. No, like the cheaper battery that I could get is like $70 for my Mini 3 Pro.
Yeah.
So, and then because that one I get two different battery sizes. There's an ultralight that keeps it under 250 grams, and then there's a battery plus that gives it more battery life. And I'm not going to get into the whole 250 gram thing because that's another regulation thing for another day.
Right.
So,
Yep. I get nervous anytime people are talking about weighing things in grams. I don't know, just me.
okay, so 0.55 pounds.
There we go.
How's
There we go. That
That
feels
works
better.
out for you?
I do have a question because with the cold weather, and you said you could really only do maybe indoor flights and stuff.
Right.
So what? I've seen some of your indoor stuff, and it's really neat. It's like you're gliding through the hallway.
Yeah, especially the Eagles Club one. That was my attempt at it, and it turned out phenomenal.
Where can I see that?
That would be on their website, actually.
Oh, it's on their website. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
it's on
check
their
it out.
website.
Okay, I'll check it out because I'd like to see that.
Yeah. I think I have it on my YouTube channel somewhere, or maybe on my Facebook thing too.
For the subscribers, we're talking with Brad, of course, about this, but we're talking about the Eagles Club in Rochester, Minnesota. So again, if you're curious like me to see his indoor fly-through, if you Google Eagles Club Rochester, Minnesota, their website will pop up, and that's where we're talking about to see this.
You'll also see anything that's aerial. There is something I've done for them. So
Okay.
I've done multiple stuff for them.
Well, now I feel dumb. What's your website, Brad? What's your website?
Oh, my website?
Since we're talking about sending them to other people's websites to look at your stuff, well, might as well send them to yours while we're here.
It's a hard one.
All right.
Eagle Eye Viewings with an S.
With an S.
.com.
Perfect. Eagle Eye Viewings with an S. That's great. Let's take a look, guys. I mean, it's impressive stuff. It really is, especially when you look at the cost.
I'll touch on that story quick about that because when I first formed my LLC, my lawyer didn't have the S in the end. His assistant did.
Oh.
Right? And then when I also was getting my liability insurance, my insurance agent also dropped the S. So now it's like...
Yes, for the record, what he's talking about is before we started filming, I made the comment of how long something about Eagle Eye Viewing, and I was quickly corrected to S.
Yeah. Right.
peeve.
It would be, it would be a pet peeve of mine too if somebody
yeah.
got my business wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd been different if I had not already had the marketing for viewings.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I'll just drop the S. But it's like I already spent all that money on business cards and decals for my vehicle and that type of stuff. It's like
we're back to what we talked about earlier. The mind sees what it wants to. It sees what we want it to. And so when you're proofing things, like in the shirt business, I have a shirt company, and when you look at that, you send people proofs. I can't tell you how many times they'll go, "Oh yeah, it looks great," and it's like then after you get everything done, they're like, "That's not the right phone number." There's you transpose the 1 and the 8 or whatever. And it's like. I sent this to you and you signed off on it.
Right, exactly.
You didn't look at the phone number. It's like, well, it looks right, at a glance. Well, sure it does. I mean,
I did that when it came to my lawyer because then I had to pay another fee to register. Yeah, to change it. Now it was only $35, so it's like okay, I can.
So
I'd rather pay $35 to re-register my name with the S in the end than spend the hundreds of dollars that I spent on marketing, like my shirts and my business cards and my decals. All that stuff. It's like that was kind of a no-brainer. It's like okay, I can eat that $35 because that's a mistake on me because I didn't double check that with my lawyer.
Yep.
However, on my insurance agent, because I was right afterwards. I caught it beforehand and I was still like, no.
Yeah.
That one didn't cost me any money because I caught it soon enough. But
well, now, and that's a change in the way I do business now, too, is because of that. Like if I send Greg something, we're going to make stickers for him or shirts or, something like that, some marketing material, and I send him the proof. It's like, and you'll get that almost immediate, looks great from anybody. It's just how it is, that immediate text back or whatever. It's like, no, I want you read every word,
Right.
read and make sure the spelling on the word. Don't assume I spelled everything right. Between intelligence and spell check, I mean, let's be honest, you shouldn't get things wrong. But there, how hard is it to you're meaning THEIR and all of a sudden you do ERE? Well, spell check isn't going to catch that, and if you're not paying attention,
or EY apostrophe RE,
right, exactly. I mean, any of those, the spell check's not going to catch it. And for whatever reason, you were just being dumb for a second,
or being singular or plural in my instance.
Right. It's just, but it's real simple to look at that, and because honestly, if I would see your logo in print without the S, I wouldn't have thought a thing of it.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't have, And now, even though I know it, I don't know if I would catch that, right away.
Not only that, so I was on Midwest Access, I think about 3 weeks ago, and Jessie on there even called it Eagle Eye Viewing the first time around. Yep. Later on, she caught it, but the very first time, and I was like, I had to grit my teeth on me and not correct her. I'm like, oh, you're on TV.
when you make the point of it, and we were laughing about it earlier, of course, but when you make the point of it and you think about it, Eagle Eye Viewing, Eagle Eye Viewings, the plural is the right. I mean, it makes sense. It makes more sense than viewing. I mean, that doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it is right.
Yeah,
you're 100% correct.
Multiple viewings, different angles. That's what I was going for.
Right, and that makes perfect sense when you know what you do. Yeah. But like I said, if you wouldn't have corrected me, I'd have been saying it all night. I would have finished this thing, and you wouldn't have been able to laugh at me as much because I just kept going with it until we were done.
Anybody that watches this is going to know there's an S on the end.
Yeah,
of that
I
word.
think so. Right. I don't think there's going to be any confusion.
That is the point. That is the point.
All right.
Yep. So yeah, that's. But so, when did you get your first drone? How long have you been flying? Because I have a drone.
Yes.
And I am awful with it. I mean, I'm telling you, if anybody looks at videos that I would take with my drone, I would have to tell them that like my grandkids did it because I do not want to take credit for the caliber.
Take some Dramamine before you watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my first question for you: how much did you pay for your drone?
I'd rather not answer that.
Okay,
because
I'm going to guess $100.
Oh, you don't know me very well.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
All right, and then I won't go that angle then.
No, I should have my stuff should look like a pro.
Okay,
it should. And
is it a DJI drone then? Probably is.
Don't look at me.
If you spent a decent amount of money on it, because they're the leading manufacturer globally. Like 75-80% of the market share is theirs. That's how big of a drone manufacturer they are. They deal with a lot of other equipment too, like video production equipment, wireless mics, gimbals. They even have a power station too, and even an e-bike drive. Yeah, they have a lot of different products. But
I bought it from another friend that owned a small hobby shop in Rochester, which is gone now. But yeah, I bought it from him, a few years ago, and one of my kids have it now because I had to have it. It was cool,
mm-hmm. Right?
And so then we started looking at. I did buy like this $139 pair of drones to like fight and play in the yard with that you chase each other around or something, but there's no cameras or anything in it.
Right.
And then when I was like, oh, now I'm good at this. I'm gonna get something cool.
You know what you should get involved in is drone soccer.
Drone soccer.
That is a thing.
I can't take pictures with a drone that look good. How am I going to play a game with it?
Because it's I'm debating about trying to like go to the RPS about it. I think they might be getting into it already, at least at the high school or junior high level. And what that is it's a program where you build these drones. There's no cameras on them.
Okay.
And then they have a cage around them, and then they're in a netted area, and there's 3 for each side. So you have 1 striker and then 2 defenders, and you're trying to fly through the loop. So as a striker, you're trying to fly through the loop, and the 2 defenders on the other team are trying to bounce and
Quidditch.
Yeah, like Quidditch. A lot like Quidditch. To keep you from trying to get it through the loop. So very interesting.
It sounds like it.
Yes.
I just know how difficult it is to maneuver one when you're I mean,
It depends what you're flying, because nowadays, if it's a DJI drone like what I have, most of them will have a GPS chip in them. So if you're not, sorry, I didn't. If your hands aren't on the sticks, it's just going to hover because it'll have that GPS lock.
Oh, okay.
Unless you're inside a building, then it might drift a little bit. But it also has sensors on the bottom, so it should stay stable as well.
Thing, in all honesty, I bought this probably 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
And it was like $1,300, but that was
could have been a 3DR actually.
That sounds familiar. Now that you say that.
Yep, 3DR.
That sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. But I know it was the coolest one he had at the time.
Yep.
And it's just I mean I in all honesty, when you look at how much I flew it, it probably cost me about $400 an hour. So it was not a good investment.
So let's put it this way.
Went with one of the kids. It's like, just get this away from me.
To date, because I have a little logbook that I keep. I don't have to, but I do just for my own purposes.
Oh, sure.
So that way I can keep track of what batteries I'm using, so I'm using them equally, so I'm not like using the same battery over and over again. All of a sudden it's dead, and I'm going to be on a long shoot where I need all my batteries, for example. And also it helps me keep track of like how long that I'm using the same props for, because general maintenance of it. So I have made over 530 flights over the past 2 years for 130-ish hours of flight time. Just to put in perspective. So I have
$400 an hour.
Right. I'm more at like, $5 for every hour I've flown.
Right. That's
just to put it in perspective. So I'm flying at least once a week, at least, normally. Whether it's professionally or if it's for recreational, or a lot of it, especially early on, I was just going out and just getting time on the sticks and trying to get good maneuvers and stuff.
It takes practice, I guess, is what I'm saying. Right. I did realize that it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, and now maybe the newer technology is easier, but it was not easy.
It's easy to fly the drone. It's difficult to get up and close and get those smooth shots. That's the difficulty of it.
Yeah, when you're trying to use the camera or something, to me, it wasn't awesome. And I didn't put the effort in to get good at it. I just went, this was dumb.
Right. So you just said something, Brad, about the props. So do you actually wear out the propellers on these things, or no?
Yeah, over time they'll because of friction of the air, especially if it's like high humidity and stuff, it will wear on the props. Yeah, they'll. Especially, another thing too, because if you fly if it's really cold, they'll get kind of brittle.
Oh, sure.
And stuff
we
too.
talked about that earlier with the cold and plastics and
right. Pre podcast.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
we chatted a little bit about that. That's...
Right. And we were right in the middle of a conversation when he walked in, and I was
we kind of dropped it.
We kind of dropped it from that point.
That happens a lot. I walk into a room, people quit talking. I don't know what that is.
Weird.
I know, strange.
Right.
Well, we knew that this was going to be potentially a long podcast. I mean, honestly, because there's a lot to talk about, and you got 2 guys out of the 3 that really like to talk. So that's part of it. I mean, Greg's a good listener, thank God.
Yeah. Nope. And I haven't even dozed off. This is great.
But we did kind of cut it short, not because of Greg, of course, but we did want to play with this a little bit and make sure that we get a good podcast in good time. Oh, I lost my camera. Did you have a green light on yours?
Red.
No, there's red on one side, red on the other.
Yep. I lost mine.
Uh-oh.
Yours is off the laptop, I assume?
Yeah. No, that one.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know what happened. Well, all right. Well, you guys carry on, and I'm going to try to fix this.
So we were at how I got into drones, right? How
did you get into drones?
So we'll go back to when I was a young kid. Top Gun had a really pretty big impact on me when I was really young. Like, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. That interest in aviation as I got older into high school went towards technology. So that's when I majored in digital arts, in multimedia and computer ad design. That was my major at the time. And that's where I had my video production course and an audio production course, and kind of, really got the core concepts of how to frame a shot, how to edit audio, how to edit video and stuff like that, which I didn't touch for 30 years.
Yeah.
But anyways,
and the technology changed a little bit.
Yes, a lot. Well, yes, a lot. We're talking like from mid to late '90s to now.
You have to cut and splice film anymore at this point.
Right.
No, it was done digitally then.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't in HD or full HD or 20. We're
Yeah.
talking standard definition, which is
Right.
512 by 620 at the time.
Is that what it is? Okay.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were talking pre-episode or pre-filming here. There's like a 3-year difference between Brad and I in age.
Okay.
So I was assuming I was a little older than him, a little more
more older?
Yeah, a little more older
Right.
than him. Than that. But yeah.
Well, I'm old enough to have actually seen somebody tape.
Yeah,
Cutting tape, and I was amazed at the time because I was not that old, but
Yeah.
they used Scotch tape. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
I would have
Scotch
thought it
tape.
had to be more complicated than
That was on with 8 mil.
Yeah, yep.
We did
Right.
it in high school.
Right.
I actually did some of that. It just
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that was editing's changed a little.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
But framing a shot and the core concept of like your message, that hasn't changed.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
You
the
lighting's
techniques, right.
hugely important.
Yep.
It's more lighting is more important than what the camera you're shooting on. The knowledge of what you're using, the knowledge of your equipment, and how to overcome the shortcomings of it and work around it. That is what makes a filmmaker or a videographer, not the equipment that's in their hand.
Well, I had a friend of mine, Scott Gilbranson, amazing photographer. And so I asked him, what if we're going to get a camera, because we started having, our kids weren't very athletic, but when we had our foreign exchange students coming through, most of them, they just want to experience everything.
Right.
And so then we're like, okay, we're going to soccer games and we're trying to take pictures with our phones or with whatever cameras that we had. And of course, these kids get 40 feet away and it's a lost art. So I talked to Scott and he says, well, get this Canon T3i, I think it is, or something like that. I don't remember now. I'm not a camera guy, but he tells us, get this camera. And it's like, it's like $600. Like, all right, we'll get that. Take that to the fields. Well, now the 30, 40, 50 foot shots are okay, but now when they get to the other goal, it's like, no, we can't get it. So
New lens.
what do we do? Well, get a lens. I'm like, what lens? And he gives me a list, like 4 lenses. Like, which one do I get?
All of them.
All of them. Well, yeah, right. That's he's like, well, all of them. So of course, like, all right, well, we'll go get all of them. They were not $600.
No.
No.
They're more expensive.
Those were more expensive.
Yeah, right.
So all of a sudden, we are the weird parents at the baseball field. That's why I say you don't know me when you said $100 drone. Mm-hmm. It's like, so now we're at the soccer fields, and the wife is over there, and we're zipping up the bags because it's foggy out or it's a little misty out, and we're wiping everything down. We're putting so now we got the camera, and you got to hold the lens is like a foot in front of you,
right?
And we're getting these awesome shots, and these other parents are like.
Did you have the monopod stick too?
Oh yeah, nice. Baby, you gotta. Yep, it's just.
My dad had an old Nokia or not Nokia. That's phones. Nikon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
an old Nikon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was a great camera.
Oh yeah. So all of a sudden, our what was a cell phone turned into a camera bag that then turned into a camera bag that turned into like a range bag. It was just ridiculous. And then Heather would get mad at me when I'd have this multi-$1,000 setup and I'd treat it like a machine gun. I'd be like, that's the soccer fields, and all the dads would be laughing and the moms would just be like, I can't believe he's here doing that. It's like, that's not
and now
fun.
that can all be done with a phone.
And now it can all be done with the phone. And now we're back to a phone again.
Yes.
Yep. We don't.
Yeah, you'll have multiple lenses on that one phone. You'll have like an ultra wide, a standard wide, 3x, 5x, 10x.
Heather always buys the iPhone Pro, whatever the new one is, because the
I-
Pro has the cool camera, and it's amazing the amount of money we spent on cameras,
Right.
and now we're back to a phone again. Yeah, it's crazy, but
Yeah, optics on cameras are just stupid money.
yeah. Well, you know what, guys, we're at a little over an hour. Brad, I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Oh, it's great.
And doing this. I know I know we haven't completed this, but I don't know that we've really scratched the surface on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I talked about drones a whole hell of a lot.
No, so I mean, but our goal here, which we talked about
Right.
pre-filming, was the goal is to get to know Brad,
Right.
and once you know who you're dealing with, that's going to make people want to come to your business, go to your website, call you, chat with you, hire you. Let's at least get a consultation going. And I mean, I think we did that here tonight. I think people get to see Brad a little bit. Greg, thanks for chiming in and coming out and
That was
helping. But will you come back and do another one? sometime. We'll
It
expand
depends
on
if
this.
he's here or not. No, I'm joking.
I'll make sure Craig's here instead.
Oh, great. I don't know. I think I'd rather he's a little imposing, you know, with his muscular frame and whatnot. If I turn things to insert south, I might have to, like, you know, hide under the table.
Right. He's a mean one. Well, again, I wanted to say thanks for coming out, for Greg and Brad both. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Email would be the best way. That'd be eagleeyeviewings with an S
With an S.
llc@gmail.com. And I can't tell you how many people have, like, I sent you an email. I'm like, did you put the S at the end? What S?
Yep,
So
I bet.
That'd be the easiest way. Otherwise, they could get a hold of me by either phone or text at 507-398-6756.
And of course, your email address or your email link is on your website, I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah. So if you go to eagleeyeviewings.com, again with an S.
Probably the easiest way, and then they can link out from
They
there.
can link out from there. Yep. And
Awesome.
actually, that video I talked about of the Eagles Club, I think that's on there too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I think it's
Great.
on there. I think it's on the bottom of the front page. Right. So I think at the top is the promo I've been doing for virtual tours, which I'm trying to push because I only have one published example, and I'm looking to try to get more. So there's
well, if that fits the bill for any of you guys, you know what he's looking for.
$150 for 15 VR images to be integrated. They'll be integrated into Google Street View and then attached to your Google My Business profile.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, Brad, thanks for coming. Greg, always fun to have you.
Jerry, thank you for facilitating this.
Absolutely.
A lot of fun.
Absolutely. Guys, till next time, this is Small Business Talk with Jerry.